Happy New Year, Mark. Good to see you again. If the Democratic Party does manage to take both of those seats in Georgia, how will they have done it?
Probably through two moves on their own part and one great big dollop of help from Donald Trump. On their own part, what they've managed to do is get out constituencies who don't normally vote in heavy numbers. So the African-American community and Stacey Abrams has played a huge part in that. Also the young, getting young voters out across a young state has made a significant difference. Also, what they've managed to do is break the Republican stronghold in the suburbs. So the suburbs were really what got Trump into power in 2016. It's a demographic that the Biden side had to win back, and certainly his two prospective senators had to win. And they appear to have done that quite well. They appear to have picked up around about 30% of the white vote, which was more than expected. But Trump has been a huge factor in this himself. He may have campaigned for Purdue and for Loeffler on as recently as Monday night down in the state of Georgia. But I mean, frankly, he's been in the state of denial since November the 3rd. And his campaigning was much more about him and the baseless claims he's been putting forward ever since then, rather than actually helping these two prospective Republican senators. He may have flipped the Senate blue by losing what was never a ruby red state, it was a scarlet state, but turning Georgia sky blue, which certainly would not have been his intent.
Sure, and if that happens, what do you think it will do to President Biden's program in terms of might it possibly push him to become more progressive? The progressives in his party, they say that actually he's kind of a bit of a throwback to the days where we don't really want to return to. In other words, a good example, probably Bernie Sanders, who's the most progressive favorite for those kind of leftists in the Democratic Party, he would cancel all student debt to absolutely zero. Joe Biden is not going quite that far, but might that push Joe Biden a bit further left if he controls the Senate?
Yeah, but don't forget he will have the Senate by a whisker. It'll be a 50-50, it'll be a tie, and decisions will be decided by the vice president. Now, Joe Biden is a centrist by nature. If we look at him in European terms, he would be centre-right. And that's the kind of policy that he will bring back. I mean, he is looking at things like expanding affordable healthcare. He's got his huge Build Back Better program, which is linked to such things as tackling climate change. There's more about racial equality in there, and reinvestment in American manufacturing. Now, all he has had in his party positions so far has been about not scaring a likely Republican Senate. But if Mitch McConnell no longer has the call to block everything that Biden proposes, maybe he will move a little bit more to the left. He has to look after a broad tent party among the Democrats. There is a strong progressive wing. We all know about the Squad and AOC and people around that. But equally, he has a bunch on the right of his party who are going to be defending their seats in a couple of years' time in what have been traditionally Republican areas. So he can't go too far. Don't expect a Green New Deal, for instance, and don't expect all that student debt to be written off. But no doubt, if he has straight ticket Democrat rule from the White House through the Senate to the House, he can afford to be a little bit more progressive and a little bit more like the Democrats of old.
Nobody, Mark, expects anything less than this joint session of Congress to give the thumbs up to Joe Biden entering the White House on the 20th of this month. So in terms of the more medium-term picture, why has Donald Trump continued to fight? And he's lost, he and his supporters, at least 60 cases, failing to overturn November's election results. What is the future for the Republican Party with Donald Trump in this kind of mode, now that the Republicans have had a taste of Trumpism?
Split out Trump and why he's fighting. This is much more about what he's going to do next. If he still can draw on the support of a substantial base, he can have an influence on the party. He is likely to show that influence, not in any 2024 campaign, but probably through some right-wing media outlet. Let's look forward to the joys of Trump TV within the next year or so. As for the party, they have seen the kind of malevolent force that has been imposed by Trump over the last 4 years. And he's had his henchman and his bruiser in Mitch McConnell in the Senate enforcing this for him. It's lost. The majority of the American people in all of the key states that matter and across the popular vote, and it looks like in Georgia, have rejected these confrontational, populist, angry politics. It will still sustain the Republican Party for a little while. There will be people who will fight into the midterms on that kind of platform. And we'll see the likes of Josh Hawley and whoever else it may be standing up in Congress today. But the wind has gone out of their sails. It's probably a time for Republican Party reflection and to think about maybe a less angry form of politics to try and win back that centre ground that they have clearly lost since November.
Mark, thank you so much indeed. Mark Shanahan from the University of Reading.